You know that feeling. You're laughing, completely relaxed, saying things you'd never say anywhere else. Then your phone rings, or someone new walks in, and just like that, you shift. Your voice changes, your posture changes, something inside you rearranges. And later, alone, you think, was that even me? Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you wear different masks for different people? With your parents, one version of you. With your best friends, a completely different person. With a crush, someone you barely recognize. And alone, maybe the most honest version of all. If that sounds familiar, you're not fake, you're not confused. But what's actually happening inside you is far more interesting than you think. Here's something most people don't realize. You don't have one personality. No one does. Psychology has a name for it: social identity theory. The idea that every one of us holds multiple social identities, and which one shows up depends entirely on the room you're in. This isn't weakness. It isn't deception. It's one of the most deeply human things about you. But here's where it gets really interesting, because why you shift and how you shift reveals something about you that most people spend their entire lives never figuring out. Let's break it down. The first reason you change around different people is this: safety. Your brain is always calculating, is this person safe? Not physically safe, emotionally safe. Can I be weird here? Can I disagree? Can I say the wrong thing and still be okay? Around people who feel safe, your real self leaks out. The humor, the vulnerability, the strange thoughts you never say out loud. But around people who don't feel safe, your nervous system takes over. You become careful, measured, a little smaller. And here's the twist. Sometimes the people who make you feel most unsafe are the people who love you the most. Parents, partners, old friends who knew you before you changed. Because with them, the stakes feel highest. Here's one that'll make you see your conversations differently. You don't just react to people, you mirror them. There's a process in your brain, mirror neurons, that constantly picks up on the energy, pace, tone, and mood of whoever you're with. Without thinking, without choosing. If someone around you is calm, you slow down. If someone is anxious, you start to feel it too. If someone is high energy, you match it. This is why you feel drained around certain people and electric around others. You're not imagining it. Your brain is literally borrowing their emotional state. And the people you call your real friends? They're the ones whose mirrored version of you actually like. That's not a small thing. Now here's the part people don't like to admit. A lot of your personality shifts aren't about comfort, they're about status. When you're around someone you see as above you, smarter, more successful, more attractive, something subtle happens. You shrink, you over-explain, you laugh a little too easily, you stop finishing sentences. And around people you feel above, you expand, you talk more, you lead, you're suddenly funnier. This is social hierarchy playing out in real time, and it's happening in every room you enter. But here's the question that should sit with you: which version of you is real? The one who shrinks, or the one who expands? Neither. Both. And the people who understand this about themselves, they stop letting others decide which version shows up. There's a deeper reason, one that's almost never talked about. Some of us shift personalities because we're still searching for one. Especially in your teens and 20s, you're not just trying to fit in. You're trying on different selves, testing which one fits, which one feels true, which one people respond to. You become louder with loud people to see how it feels. You become more serious with serious people to see if it suits you. You edit yourself constantly, watching for approval signals. Psychologists call this identity diffusion, and it's not a flaw, it's a stage. But some people never leave that stage. They spend their entire lives adjusting, performing, shifting, and never asking the most important question. Who am I when no one's watching? Here's where things get uncomfortable. Sometimes you don't just adapt to people, you disappear for them. You stop saying what you actually think. You laugh at things that don't amuse you. You make yourself smaller, quieter. Less because somewhere along the way, you learned that being yourself was risky. Maybe it got you rejected, laughed at, left out. So you built a version of yourself that was easier for everyone else to handle. And it worked. People liked you, you fit in, but at a cost. Because if you're always adjusting yourself to match the room, there's no room left where you just exist. That's not adaptability anymore. That's self-erasure, and it leaves behind something quiet but persistent, a feeling that no one really knows you, because you never really showed them. But here's what I want you to understand. Changing around people isn't the problem. Losing yourself in the process is. The most psychologically grounded people in the world, they adapt too. They match energy. They read rooms. They shift tone. But underneath all of that, their core stays the same. Their values, their boundaries, what they will and won't say, what they will and won't become. That's the difference between flexibility and fragmentation. One is a social skill. The other is a quiet emergency. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, right now, tonight. Think of one person in your life around whom you feel completely yourself. Now ask, what is it about them that lets that happen? Is it that they don't judge? That they've seen you fail? That they never needed you to perform? Whatever it is, that's the environment you need more of. And think of one person around whom you disappear, where you edit, shrink, perform. Are they worth it? Is the relationship asking you to be less so it can stay comfortable? Because here's the truth that most people need to hear. You are not responsible for managing other people's comfort at the cost of your own identity. The most powerful thing you can do isn't to become consistent. It's to become conscious aware of when you're adapting, when you're shrinking, and when you're performing. Because the moment you see it, you get to choose. And that choice, small as it feels, is where your real personality begins. Don't forget to subscribe, because here we reveal truths most people avoid.